Well, it looks like you were wrong, McCluck. Ruby wasn't designed to defeat Sutekh after all.
Yeah, more's the pity.
Right, okay, so there were some really good parts in this episode.
While others were just, what the f***, appalling.
Language, McCluck.
I'm sorry, but it was. Actually, I'm not sorry at all.
Let's do things in reverse by starting with the ending. Ruby's resolution was lovely. Her finding her mom, learning her dad's still around, the emotional goodbye with the doctor. This was actually good. Emotional but not too schmaltzy, well acted. It really was lovely, just taken in isolation. As part of the story, it was just... what the hell?
This was the outcome of a season-long mystery. So mysterious it was, the literal god of death kept her alive when he destroyed the rest of the universe to find out who she was. And it turns out she was the result of a good old-fashioned, regular, box-standard teenage pregnancy.
It's not like she was the only teenage pregnancy ever, or the only person in history who didn't know her parents. Why would such a thing confuse a god? It's like RTD himself didn't have a clue how to resolve his own mystery box.
Great iridescent egg, he did a J.J. Abrams.
He did. He did a J.J. Abrams. So, why did it always snow around Ruby?
Don't you know? It always snows around people who don't know their parents.
And why was Maestro so afraid of Ruby's inner song in The Devil's Chord?
Who knows? We were enticed into a fantastical mystery only to be given a bland explanation that made zero sense based on all the setup. We were cheated.
Okay, but there was a link to the 73 Yards episode with Roger Abguilliam again.
Except it had nothing to do with the episode because, unlike in 73 Yards, he was in power long enough to institute forced DNA screening for the whole population, which means him getting the nukes from Pakistan the moment he gained power didn't happen.
That DNA scene didn't make sense in any case. Like, they go to 2046 to search for Ruby's heritage, which they find and then destroy, and then at the end, UNIT in 2024 finds the DNA data once more, except that couldn't be possible because Ruby's mom didn't submit to DNA screening until 2046. I guess it must be easy to write a story if internal consistency doesn't matter. And the link to 73 Yards will likely never get explained, and I guess that's fine. Were it not for the fact RTD kept teasing us about it.
Damn right! In the last episode, the CCTV camera was 66 meters away, but that was just a red herring it seems. And in this episode, we learn that the TARDIS's perception filter extends 66.7 meters away from the TARDIS.
That's 73 yards! It is, and when Ruby makes that very same conversion, the Doctor is all surprised saying, "How did you know that?" As if being able to do mental arithmetics is such a mystery.
And still, that leads to nothing. No payoff. Absolutely nothing.
Actually, if you think back to the 73 Yards episode when Ruby is met by Kate Stewart, she tells her all about the fact that Mysterious Woman is always 73 yards away. She knows all about the TARDIS. Why didn't she herself make that connection? Because there was no connection to make. All of this, Ruby's heritage, 73 yards, all these mysteries dangled in front of us to keep us guessing, all just led to a delivery of a big fat nothing.
That's the worst kind of dangling.
The mystery of Ruby's birth was made even worse by her mother pointing. That gesture was made to feel so ominous, so foreboding, and then it turns out she was just pointing to a street sign to say, "That's my baby's name?"
But there was no one there for such a pointing to mean anything. How often do you point to stuff when there's no one around for you to indicate something to people who aren't there?
But the Doctor was there. But in the church on Ruby Road, she didn't point at all. She never turned her back, she just walked away.
You see, time was changing in the time window, so by the 7th episode, she was.
She could have said, "Hey, you, in the fancy coat, tell him she's called Ruby."
That would actually have made more sense.
Although it wouldn't have given us a season-long mystery. That wasn't a mystery. That moment in the time window made it feel so much more ominous. Time was being rewritten as they were watching the recreation. Something was stopping them from seeing the mother's face. Some mysterious interference. It was a cool mystery though, right?
kept us hanging to see the next episode, and then nothing, really. It was a very tenant moment for sure.
What?
I did like the concept of recreating the TARDIS based on Ruby's memories of it. Fantastical, yes, but a fun concept.
Except it didn't work. She should have remembered it as she knew the TARDIS, not bits and pieces from all the TARDIS's previous incarnations, which she had no knowledge of.
Yeah, it was a nice bit of fan service for sure, but Ruby didn't know any of that. Heck, she didn't even know the Doctor once looked like Tom Baker.
It would have made a lot more sense had it been the Doctor who was remembering instead of Ruby. This was the part of the episode where the Doctor was completely useless. Like, he froze at the very start when Sutekh Susan was about to turn him into dust. Mel had to save him. Then Mel taught him to get on the bike. Mel pretty much saved the day at that point, bringing a hapless Doctor back to unit. Yeah, I didn't like that at all.
But even that didn't make sense. Okay, they were riding away from the dust. Fine, it's not original, but fine. Plus, it was well done. But the dust cloud didn't just come from Susan. It also came from Harriet, who was at unit. Which means the Doctor and Mel could never have got to unit without turning into dust.
Somehow, Palpatine returned.
Sorry?
Oh, sorry. Wrong script. I really have the feeling this episode was secretly co-written by J.J. Abrams.
And what about Mrs. Flood? Nothing happens with her in this episode.
What? What about that "I'm always hiding myself away" line?
She turned to dust, like everyone else.
And then she closes the episode, all dressed in white, on the roof like some kind of weird Mary Poppins. Thing is, we've been massively deceived with a season-long mystery, so why should we attach any importance to a new dangling tease which will likely lead to nothing?
And I don't know about you, but I'm getting tired of all those breaking of the fourth wall.
It was all a damp squid. Squib.
Sorry?
It's not a squid, it's a squib. A damp squib.
Oh. You sure?
Trust me on this. All of this leads us to Sutekh. It was a great tease at the end of the last episode, wasn't it?
Yeah. They should have left it at that.
The whole destruction of the world was great, and the rest of the universe. Nice effects. I dare say the dusting effects were excellent.
But it made no sense how Sutekh survived his encounter with the Fourth Doctor, since Sutekh died of old age trying to reach the end of the time portal, traveling for 7,000 years. Only now, he somehow attached himself to the TARDIS, when the TARDIS wasn't even in the time vortex at the time, and somehow he turned into a giant rat?
It's a jackal, McCloud. See the pointed ears?
You sure?
Trust me on this.
The Doctor must have been onto him during Capaldi's creepy listen episode.
That was such a spooky episode.
And wouldn't the TARDIS tell the Doctor something was tagging along when she was human and the Doctor's wife?
Guess she was too confused at the time, what with being human and dying and all.
But the TARDIS couldn't stand Jack holding on and tried to shake him off by going to the end of time. But a hitchhiking god was okay?
Looks that way.
And when the TARDIS shrunk, did Sutekh shrink with it?
Oh.
But Sutekh must have been royally pissed off when that happened.
Listen, none of these stories were written with Sutekh in mind. It's just a massive retcon for the purposes of this season.
Okay, well, what happened when Ncuti duplicated the TARDIS at the end of the giggle then? Does that mean we actually have two Sutekhs? And only one's been defeated?
Well, but actually, that's not a bad point.
This episode has so many plot holes. What's one more?
So after successfully killing all life, Sutekh reigns over a devastated universe, with what survivors there are slowly forgetting everything and eventually dying. The sense of desolation and hopelessness was effective, but it's not like there was any doubt the Doctor wouldn't be able to reverse everything. Considering his track record this season, it could have been someone else.
True. I thought it was going to be Ruby because of all that mystery around her, which turned out to be nothing.
Yeah, Sutekh was defeated by the power of teen pregnancies.
No, he wasn't, Gigi. The Doctor did save the day this time, killing Sutekh again and hopefully once and for all.
Unless he's also on the duplicated TARDIS.
And all thanks to a whistle and some rope.
Why couldn't a god easily cut a rope? Even a molecular bonded one. So the Doctor could kill him. Hey, it's Doctor Who. Such defeats are pretty much part and parcel of the show.
But why was he so upset about killing him? He's killed many people in his life, Never seemed to have any problem doing that, especially if it meant saving the universe.
Maybe because this Doctor feels so much. That didn't bother me, really. The biggest problem with the show is there was no payoff that matched the massive season-long build-up. I don't know, guys, but I ended up feeling that this was just a complete bait and switch.
All the Susans were explained?
True, that's actually the only thing that was, and it was a good explanation considering, I'll grant you that.
And there was no connection with the beast from the Impossible Planet.
Mouse, there really was no connection to anything. In fact, I'd argue this Sutekh didn't even feel the same as the Sutekh from Pyramids of Mars.
And 14 didn't come back. He must have been like Fury at the end of Infinity War.
Oh no. Well,
despite all of this, there were some good emotional moments. That mysterious woman in the tent, which really didn't make any sense, but it was a good, sad and tragic moment. Mel's death and betrayal, the Doctor's devastating realization that everywhere he's been since defeating Sutekh sowed the seeds for the universe's destruction. To be honest, everything until Sutekh is dealt with was great. Great build-up, satisfying Doctor Who-styled ending. And then comes Ruby's revelation.
Which didn't work at all. This was the payoff not only of this two-parter, but of the whole season, and we get nothing? You don't get to set up a massive mystery, sprinkle it with strange goings-on, don't deliver, and expect the audience to be okay with that. Hell, it's even worse than 73 Yards in that respect.
Well, Ruby did find her mom.
This isn't EastEnders or Days of Our Lives or some other soap opera, Mouse. We were promised bigger things. And why have such a long goodbye with the Doctor when she's coming back next season?
She's not. She's being replaced.
Nah. There will be 2 companions next season, it's just been revealed.
Well, what was the point of that sentimental ending then?
You got me.
So, that's it for Doctor Who for this year.
Not quite. There's a Christmas special.
Oh, yeah?
Written by Moffat.
Ooh.
You mean there's a chance we could have a good episode by the end of the year?